welcome back to another experiment of can I grow this from seeds? And today we are trying to grow olive trees. This right here is my successful attempt at germinating the olive seeds. So now that I know how to do that, I want to give out the advice for that since a lot of people ask for it. But this is in no way a care for this plant because I am still figuring that out, which you'll see later on. But let's go ahead and start to germinate these seeds. You have to start off with seeds not from like canned pickled olives, but from raw olives or just from olive seeds online. This is crucial because apparently something in the vinegar messes with the olive seeds themselves and their viability. So it's really important to get the raw olive ones. However, if you're like me and want to experiment, I have seen some people online claim that they can use pickled olive seeds. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it would be a great experiment. But let's go through the seeds and what to do. I started off here with just a handful of seeds. You're going to want a bunch of them because I'm going to be honest, the germination rate is very, very low. Even with all of the methods I've tried, nothing really gets 100% germination. Now, the pit of this is hiding the seed inside, and you want to nib it just enough so that you can expose the seed to the elements, because if you don't and you just chuck the seeds into soil, it will take years for it to decompose the shell. Also, in this attempt, I don't soak the seeds, but you'll see later on when I redo this, I do. It's kind of a preference thing, but soaking the seeds definitely speeds up the process. It's also preference on whether or not you want to soak them before you nib the seeds or after. A lot of people soak them before they do this process because they want to make it easier to nib the tips off. This sounds so weird. For me, I didn't find that. I found soaking after just sped up the process because it soaked the internal seed. Now, also with this process, I used some sharp gardening shears. You kind of want something sharp or else you will injure yourself, but you also want to make sure you don't accidentally damage the seed. So there's kind of a really big balance. You can see it, I'm just very slowly like cracking at it, like not taking big chunks and not cutting too deep. And then you can see once it hits to this point where there's this like one spot of like air pocket, essentially exposure to the seed without damaging it, that's where you stop. I find that the pointy side of the seed is a lot easier to break off, and usually where you want to start, if you go through that route and you find it doesn't have exposure or you can't find the seed, that's when I would go to the butt end or like the more round edge. But the round edge is a lot more difficult to nib, but I still do it both sides just in case, but I mainly focus on that pointier tip. Once all of the seeds have some sort of like hole or exposure to the seeds without damaging the seeds, it's time to pot them. Again, for this one I potted, but for the next attempt I did soak them. I just used normal potting soil that I knew was moisture retaining because these need to sit in the humid soil for a couple months. Actually, not a couple, like 6-ish months. I just added the seeds to that soil, and then I'm making sure they're all covered up because you want as much of that soil touching the pit as possible because it's going to help with the disintegrating process. I also made sure to fully saturate the soil, and you want to keep the soil completely moist until you start to see signs of growth or greenery or roots or anything like that. To help with keeping the humidity, I just covered it up, and with that, it is off. I have been trying to grow. I'm gonna be honest, the move took a toll on them. This one I feel like was not good. I don't actually know what this one is. It might not actually be olive seeds, so I'm just gonna... So digging around in here, I know that this got progress because these are the two halves of like the pit. The seed just never grew, and I did water it a lot. Like this was very soaked, but as soon as I started to see that it didn't have results, I gave up on it. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna leave whatever seed progress was happening here, but I thought I would just go in with some more olive seeds to just try again because I do want to keep trying to grow them even though my other plant is doing really, really well. Always fun, and I know a few people that do want some as well. So I'm just gonna repeat the process for that. I think I'm just gonna do like 5 seeds. So for this process, what I've been doing is take clippers and I just slice off a lot of this, as much of it as possible, without damaging the internal seed. I like chopped off that. You can see like the seed is popping out there. Oh, and I chopped off the bottom so that it could also get exposed as well. sometimes I try to get a little risky and lose the seed. Where the heck did that go? Okay, well, we lost a seed. Whoa, there's spider webs in here. Well, let's hope it grows wherever it went. We're down to 4 seeds. I'm not gonna be as risky now. Yes, okay, that one was so good. You can see, can you see? Like, that is very much exposed. That is very likely to grow. So I'm gonna do that to all of these. I will say I have found that this part of the process is a lot easier with the dry seeds. I know some people do it after they soak them, but when they get soaked, they get slippery and it just becomes a little more dangerous and risky, which is why I do it at this point in the process. Also, when you do it now with like before soaking, you'll actually soak the internal seed and not just the shell. Like I've also tried to crack it this way. I feel like if I had a nutcracker, that would be a little bit better, but it's kind of doable. It's just dangerous. I'm gonna just, ooh, I have some other seeds germinating. So I'm just gonna toss them in and these guys will be off to soak. I'll be back to put them in the soil in 24-ish hours. It's been 24 hours, so let's deal with these guys. They're now completely different colors. So I'm gonna go ahead. I've got this other failed experiment that I'm just gonna reuse the soil from. So I'm gonna go ahead, cross out the other experiment. And then I'm just gonna scoop out these guys and just chuck them in. And then I'm gonna just top them with some soil because that pot is halfway empty. So I'm gonna just drown it. I put way too much water. And then I'm just gonna cover them with a bag. I usually try to do a cup or something else, but I don't have. And with that, they're off. I'll be back whenever they decide to grow. So the olive seeds have been chilling for a couple months now. Let us just check in. I like to check in by just like digging around to see what's happening. So if the seeds still have their shells, which some of these do, that means they're just not yet propagated. I did notice a few seeds came out of the shell. This is what that seed looks like when it comes out of the shell. And then I'm just gonna find the shell carcasses in here as well. Oh, there's another seed that is fine. I think there's 2 seeds in that one. That's why it's really important to crack the seed before you chuck it in. I think those are the only 2 I found. Everything else is still like this. But if you see that it's started to crack the shell open, you can also assist it and just like slightly pull it back. Just make sure to not destroy the seed because you need that. This is looking really, really promising. I think within a couple of weeks, these seeds will grow. So I'll be back once they grow. All right, let's do an update on the olives. So this is my olive plant. You can see she's beautiful, majestic. She's grown a lot since the move. Here, I'll bring her up closer. You can see she's grown a lot during the move, but the seeds have not. Actually, I think I started them here. They're still just chilling. There's literally nothing. Ta-da! So I'm just gonna let them chill. I think they take a pretty long time. So they're just gonna go chill. As for this guy, been chilling in this pot for quite some time. I think it's time for a repot. So I've got sand, I've got soil, I've got garden soil, and a bunch of other things. It loves sand, and I wanna mix it in. I think I'm gonna do a mix of like my potting soil for my aeroids plus some garden soil just to give it like aeration, but then also moisture retention because it needs a lot of moisture. I'm going to repot it into an 8-inch pot. It's not that much bigger, but I think it should be fine. I want to give it more room to grow because I can tell it's definitely in too small of a pot, but it needs more room to grow, but I don't want to give it too much to where the roots rot since it is indoors. So let's try to get it out of here. I have noticed it's been drying out. I will water it on a Sunday and then I'll need to rewater it on a Tuesday. I don't vibe with that, especially since the pot it's in technically doesn't have drainage. Let's not make a mess. It's also planted towards the side and I just don't like that. There's a succulent I'm gonna put on the side. Let's see. I don't want to be aggressive. I'm like digging around. Ooh, the roots are super dry. Oopsie. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and you can see it went straight to the bottom since it's a tree. You can see it took the shape of the bottom. But they are very, very dry. So I think, I do remember mixing, yeah, see there's a lot of sand in this. I think I'm gonna mix it a little bit better and then put it in the taller pot. It might even need a bigger pot, but I don't have a bigger pot, so this will have to do. I think I'm gonna mix in the garden soil for sure, at least a scoop of it. Yeah. There's rocks in here. Oh my god, there's a liquala cordata seed. Okay, cool. I just want to be on the safe side, so I'm gonna add in some tropical soil. Let's mix this in. I remember the sand in Syria, and I think it does need. We're just gonna do a little bit of sand. I think it's good, honestly. I think this is good. Let me start to pot it. I don't think this is enough soil. We'll find out shortly. Is that a good base? Oh, this is gonna be a mess. No. Had flashbacks of cleaning this. We'll go the slow and steady route. There is so much in my sleeves. I also want to see if it will. The answer is no. Maybe once I support it properly. This is really heavy. I've run out of soil, which is fine. We'll mix up some more. I think for the top, I'll add in more garden soil just so it retains a little bit more moisture. That looks good to me, minus the kind of pressed it down to kind of get it to stand. I'm hoping it will just figure it out on its own. If not, it's curving like a cute bonsai. Regardless, I think it's good now. I'm going to remove some of these dried leaves. It did get impacted by my spider mites, unfortunately, but hopefully it will just like grow new branches or something. Thorough watering since those roots were dry. But with that, this is off to do its thing. Do I support it? I kind of want it to do its own thing. Like I want it to grow its own strength. So maybe I'll try to support it for a couple of weeks and then I will remove the support. I'm gonna let it do its thing. Hopefully it's not too sensitive to repots, but it is off to grow. The seeds are off to hopefully germinate. If not, I've got a bunch more that I will try to germinate again. I'll see you in a couple of months. Okay, I've got some fun, exciting updates on the olive seeds. If we take this up, we've got one that has finally germinated. Let's see, you see it right there. How exciting! It just took 5 months, so it definitely takes a lot of patience, but I've got a new olive plant. It still needs a lot more humidity and to germinate, and there's a few more seeds in there that I do want to try to germinate, so I'm just going to cover it up, and it is off to the shelf. I'll be back with more updates soon. All right, we are back with the olives. We'll start off with the bad news. Bad news is spider mites got to this olive tree. Oh, is she growing? Sorry, I'm just now seeing like signs of new growth. I'm not sure. Oh no, I'm guessing she's no longer with us. She's just a little loose and a little wobbly. Maybe let me just pile up the soil a little bit more. I don't think she's gonna survive. I'm gonna be honest. I think spider mites took a big toll on her, which is really, really sad. But the good news is the olive seed is still growing. Check in on her. I'm really sad about my olive though. I don't think this is an olive seed. What are you from? Yeah, I don't think that's an olive seed, if we're being very, very, very honest. No, it is the olive seed. Okay, it was from the olive seed. Okay, that is a little bit of a relief. Anyways, it's very humid in here, so I think I'm gonna take the bag off just because
So the other seeds in there seem to have rotted. So I'm just going to lightly cover and then leave like a little gap for air. And then this is going straight into full sun so that the new leaves can grow. As for this guy, let me just do the bark test. It's still green under the bark, so that means there's still life. Just gonna pray and hope it grows. This guy right here is what it took to grow 1 year. Now imagine those in Palestine that are like centuries old. How long, like, oh my gosh, it took, how much effort and care is just insane. But I'm gonna keep both of them. Hopefully this one will survive, and I'm gonna keep a close eye on this one because it's my backup plan now. Actually, it's probably plan A, this is plan B. But with that, that is how you germinate olives. This is just evidence of how difficult it is to grow olives, and these guys are off to the plant shelf. Hopefully I'll be back with some positive updates soon.